Welcome on in to the Utah Blockcast. I'm Steve Bartle, Utah insider for KSL Sports. And this guy next to me, Utah defensive tackle Keanu Tanuvasa. How you feeling, man?
I'm doing good, Steve. Doing real good. I mean, I feel like, man, every time I hop on, you be asking me, I'm like, man, I got this fancy word. I'm living life. But, man, it's just real good. You know, that's just the definition. It's just good.
Is that the vibe? You win Defensive Player of the Week. Is that just the aura, the confidence? It's just at a different level?
I think so. Yeah. You know, we're trying to stay humble, as we talked about off the mic before we hopped on. You know, can never get too big of a head because we're just scratching the surface.
Yes.
But no, I mean, when you work hard and you receive, you know, blessings like being the player of a game, you got to enjoy it. You know, you worked your butt off for it. So, yeah, I'm feeling good.
Love it, man. Well, we'll dive more into the game and into, everything happening. Just a quick rundown. We actually have a show plan now, which is great. We have structure to the show now, which is great. So, obviously, we'll talk about the Utah State game, your performance.
Sure.
Really enjoyed watching you and Junior Tafuna in that game. That was
great game.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And obviously, we'll talk about some of the plays you made. We'll kind of walk through that. We'll talk about maybe a teammate. Give a teammate a shout out.
Oh,
maybe
of course.
A guy that impressed you this week.
Okay.
And then we'll do a little Q&A. We've got some questions from the blockheads out there.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll finish up with news, motivational message of the week.
Yes, we're halfway through the week, so hopefully it can help carry you the rest of the way, or at least be a good message to hear.
Oh, and we'll also talk about a couple keys to the game as well. Forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
Talk a couple keys to the game. Oklahoma State, obviously, this weekend, which is going to be a big test. But, man, Keanu, student athlete, you're living life up there at the University of Utah.
Yes, sir.
How's the week been? How's student life going for you?
Student life is going a lot better than previous weeks. You know, thankfully to our many people behind the scenes that help us to stay on the field, like our academic advisors. I tend to now get my work done a lot earlier due to being put back into study hall. So I have a set time that I'm required to be at study hall now. Mondays from a certain, for like 2 hours. And I get my work done now, I got a little bit of people peeking over my shoulder that's helping me to stay motivated in the student area of my life. Probably should translate some from the athlete aspect of my life over. But we're good. The student life is good, Steve. I'm enjoying it.
Good, man. That's good to hear. It's always an important thing, right? Because you are a student athlete. We talk about it every week, and it's important to enjoy your time up here as a student athlete. Obviously, the focus, all of it, almost, is on football. But you still getting out? You still having fun? You still enjoying yourself?
Yeah, for sure,
good, man.
Not too much, But when it's needed, I think opportunities to celebrate and enjoy yourself is needed. You gotta have fun, man. If you don't love what you're doing, and love, even moments away from what you do on a day-to-day basis, then you're not living life right. You got to find a balance between the two.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that, man. Oh, man, you could be a motivational speaker tomorrow if you wanted to be.
I'd love, one day, hopefully, day by day. Currently a football player, but one day that's the goal. Hopefully the blockheads will tune into my speeches one day.
Yes, you will have a group of people, a good crowd.
Yeah, I believe so.
With the blockheads there.
I love it.
From day one. Well, cool, man. So Let's go back to last Saturday. Obviously, you guys traveled up north to Logan. You get the win, 38-21. It was kind of an interesting game. And, for you, the defense, Utah State scores two touchdowns consecutively, right? And for you guys, from that moment, what was kind of the mindset? What were you guys saying? What were you trying to get going on that defense side of the ball in that moment, in that game?
And 2 touchdowns out the gate and back-to-back, it's football. It's going to happen. We've talked about it. The nice thing was we met in our D unit room and Scally addressed it. And, the question was, did we feel like we came out flat? And that wasn't really the vibe. I mean, they punted, I think, off their first 2 drives. It was a 3-and-out and then a punt. And so I don't know exactly how it transpired and how it went down, but the vibe, the nice thing is I compared it to the vibe of, within myself, of the vibe when we played the Pac-12 championship my freshman year against USC down in Las Vegas. Is they were up, but it was the thing I love about Utah football and our team and the culture is that we're at home in adversity. Mm-hmm. It's where we feel at home. It's natural. We're not going to fold. We're not going to be intimidated. We're just going to continue to do what we need to do. And we don't have to do extra. We know what works. We're just going to do and stick to the game plan. And that's the mindset that we had after being scored on twice.
And you could see that, right? You guys kind of settled in the whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
The light switch, you guys flipped it,
yeah,
whatever it was. And you could see the difference in your guys' level of play, the intensity that you played with.
Right.
And coaches, I think Coach Whittingham talked about this, is you guys tried a new scheme, you tried some new things,
mm-hmm.
and then you got back to your bread and butter and what you guys do best and what you're most comfortable in.
Yeah.
For you guys, what makes that your bread and butter? What allows you guys to play at a higher level
mm-hmm.
than maybe trying out something new that you feel might work better schematically? What it is about that bread and butter scheme that just gives you guys that ability to play at a higher level?
I think that it's been that bread and butter has been ingrained into our technique, our life, our lifestyle on the field. It's ingrained into our mind and how to perform that to the best of its ability.
Yeah.
Because we've tried it for years, however long you've been on the team, we always go back to our bread and butter. And on the off season, that's what you focus on. Week by week, we have adjustments for certain teams that we play. But in the offseason, you're not playing anyone. And so it's what is our defense? What do we stand for? And what do we work on? And so that entire offseason, and from, players like me or June, we got 3, 4, 5 years of playing under the same bread and butter defense.
Right.
That now I know the exact movements that I like, the movements of my style that feel good in that bread and butter. And I feel comfortable playing that down after down after down. And so I think that's where the natural instinct of this is what we do and this is how we dominate is doing what we do best.
Yeah.
And so like any team, we're going to have our play by play, developing throughout different weeks. But whenever we can play in our bread and butter, we love that,
Yeah. So, and I think there's a lot to that when you can just play in something you're so comfortable in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to react without thinking of, all right, what am I doing on this play? And I'm not saying that's what the issue was that you guys were thinking, but you just are able to react at a much more confident level maybe than in trying something new. And so I thought that it was really good for you guys to get back to that. And you and Junior Tafuna,
yeah,
obviously I already mentioned it, defensive players of the week.
Yes, sir.
And when you go back and watch it and you watch the tape, what you guys were actually doing, man,
yeah,
you guys were dominant. And I know you're trying to stay humble, Keanu. I know you're trying to stay grounded and stay level-headed. But look, man, you and June were playing at a different level.
Yeah.
I was talking with Logan Fano yesterday during our media availability, and he said, playing with those guys on the interior, whoever it is inside, I know that they're going to do what they do, and they're going to impact plays, even if they don't end up with the tackle. I had a tackle. This was Logan talk. I had a tackle off the edge where Junior blew up the guard. I'm the one that gets the credit for the tackle, but it's Junior and it's Keanu that impact that play, that make that play.
Yeah.
For you guys, what was that game like where you guys, it just seemed that you were playing at a different level than everybody else on the field?
Well, man, it's
and I know you're trying to stay humble and grounded.
Yeah,
I'm gonna toot your horn, man.
No, that's okay. I mean, I'm the reason I'm pausing and because I can feel that game coming back.
Yeah,
I feel the power that was behind it because it truly was a different level that me and June have been trying to play at. I think part of it stemmed from last week's practice. We've always practiced intense, but during practice we faced some different adversity. Just came out of the blue, and we were fighting it throughout the week. And then that one practice, that specific day, me and June took it to another level. We said, you know what, we're done. Let's take it higher. And then we came in the film room the next day, and Ellis was like, look, this is how you guys can perform consistently.
Yeah.
You just have to allow yourself to get to there. And so that was our focus, was no more Mr. Nice Guy. When we're on that field, we can still talk to our people, be with our fans, while still being a complete monster within there.
Yeah.
And so we made it a dedication that day that me and June, we were going to play to how we practiced that week. We were going to take it and flip the switch. There was no going back and forth. And that's what we did. And then that's what, you guys are seeing on the film.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm still feeling looking back at it was we became that mindset together collectively. And then it radiated throughout the defense.
You brought up a couple things here that I want to hit on.
Yeah.
First, you mentioned the fans.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking to the Utah State people, the media people in the press box, and they said, typical road crowds, they're in the upper corner of the stadium.
Yeah.
And they're filling up that little section in the upper corner.
Yeah.
Utah fans showed up, filled up the entire upper section.
Yep.
And almost the entire south end zone.
Yeah.
For you guys, what is that like going on the road and seeing the fan base show up in that sort of manner?
Well, I have to go back to another game. Last year, Baylor was very similar. Last year, Baylor, our Utah fans traveled heavy. And let me tell you, Waco, Texas is not close and it is not cool. It is very hot. But we traveled heavy over there, man. And to travel heavy again, I mean, I know we're in state, but it's an away game. Our fans still have to move, and that takes dedication. It takes their money, and their time. And to see that it felt like a home game, man. I can't tell you how much we loved and enjoyed pointing to our fans, trying to be one by one, saying it's because of you, and go down the row, the line, that whole aspect, that part of the stadium.
Yeah.
It was huge. I loved it.
Love that, man. And it was interesting being in the press box and seeing just, the chants, the Utah State chants, the Utah stance. And they, obviously Utah State had a little bit of an edge with the student section. What was that like playing in front of that student section, by the way?
I loved it.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
It was great.
They were talking smack. They were calling 57, calling Keanu and yelling my name and every time it was just thank you. I appreciate you calling me out because now I'm gonna go and kill your team some more. Keep talking. It just makes me happy. Yeah. And we would come off and we were like, why are you so quiet now? What happened? I thought you were I thought you wanted to talk. And then there was one point that I got into it with a fan because of something they had said that I felt was too far.
Yeah. And I hate that. I hate that stuff, man.
Yeah, you want to talk smack, you want to banter, go ahead. I love it. I'm the same way. That's what I do in the game. I don't address fans, but I'll address the other team. And if the fans want to banter with us, go ahead. But then if you're gonna personally target an individual on my sideline, it wasn't me. It was someone that I'm connected to. Yeah. You want to personally target them. That one killed me. I turned to him and I looked them dead in the eye and I said, you say something like that again and you're going to deal with me. I wasn't that nice.
Of course.
And then they were very quiet for the next, and I walked away. Because I'm not going to you're not going to disrespect someone who's not even playing in the game.
Right. What are you doing?
And go too far. You disrespect me all you want. Go ahead, please, but don't come for an equipment manager, a water boy, water girl,
Oh, man.
And
that's lame. That's super lame.
Yeah.
You've taken on this persona of leadership that is so unique, so refreshing, particularly within that defensive tackle room because, over the years at Utah, they've had obviously tremendous players in that tackle room. And I think it's just different leadership. I'm not saying that they didn't have leaders in that room when you're talking about Aleki Fotu, who's been through numerous games, numerous situations, and he's a proven veteran at that, in his career. John Pennicini, Lolo Tulele, and all of these other guys, great players in that defensive tackle room, but none of them have shown the sort of leadership qualities that you've shown. Obviously, they've shown their own leadership qualities in allowing their play to do the talking, and they're just not talkers.
Yeah.
Right? And I think with you and Junior, that's been such a unique dynamic that has really been an exciting thing for fans to get into. And for you, like, where does that come from? Where does that leadership, that energy that you play with, where do you feel that's come from?
Man, I think it's a lot of places, it's difficult to kind of narrow down because, I'm only 22 years old, so I still got a lot of life left to live, but I've also had a lot of life, that I've gone through. And with that, there's people and places and things that I have grown from and taken this from this individual. And oh, this teacher blessed me here. This role model, this man, this woman in my life helped me here and here. It just off the top of my head, what just came, was the household that I grew up in. My siblings never put me down for being a vocal individual. They let me radiate. And if that took away sometimes from them talking, they were humble enough and loving enough to let me be that. My parents were the same way, oh, this kid's loud, and other parents are looking and judging and talking to my parents. You need to limit that. And they let me be me,
That's awesome.
And then I've had amazing role models like Scally that want me that fuel that tell me don't stop. Sometimes even guys on the team with me, and it's the same for Junior, I would say.
Yeah.
But we'll have linebackers and there's a certain one I'm thinking of that'll tease us for yelling too much. And sometimes, we're like, oh, maybe we should be a little quieter. And then you have a very intimate, serious moment with them where you're just walking after a lift. Yeah. And this certain linebacker tells me, hey man, don't stop that. You can't stop. That is huge for us as a team. We feel it in the linebacker room, and it actually changes everything about a practice, a lift, a meeting, and the game time. And I remember that conversation, and I'll never forget it. And it was huge because that was one who constantly is teasing when we talk,
Yeah.
And then behind the scenes, it's don't ever stop. I need that, And so that's huge for me.
Love that, man. And you can feel the leadership that you bring to the squad. You can feel it and how you're lifting and empowering people, right? The hype video that Utah football tweeted, and it's halftime. You're in the locker room. You're shouting, "I believe."
Yeah.
I believe in the quarterback. I believe in the offense.
I do.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's that sort of stuff that I think it's so refreshing to see. And do you feel like, obviously you're talking about it with the linebacker telling you to not stop doing that.
Right.
But do you feel that empowerment? Do you feel that it resonating within the locker room?
Oh yeah. I think that's the huge thing is it comes back.
Yeah.
It can be quiet, and then when it's vocalized by me or Junior or other leaders on the team, it doesn't go on empty ears.
Yeah.
It bounces back with other voices. And it may not be as consistent because that's not their style of play. And I don't want anyone to try and emulate their style, my style, if it's not the way you want to act.
Yeah.
Be yourself, find out who you are and reciprocate it in the way that you can. If that's not talking and it's just critically playing, or if that's just let me come in and give you a fist bump, well then good, do it that way. But it never falls on dead ears.
Yeah.
And it always comes back. And so little things like those I believe statements, it was, man, I want everyone to know
positive affirmations, baby.
You're right, that we're in this together, and I love my quarterback regardless of who's back there.
Yeah.
When it was Luke Batari last year, I believed in that man, and regardless of who it is. And so, yeah, I loved it. I love my team.
And that's very apparent, right? I think everybody sees that, man. It's so much fun to watch you just doing what you're doing with your leadership style. It's been fantastic. You want to shout out a teammate? You got a guy in mind that you want to give a little shout out to, whether it be the work that he put in during the week, whether it be how he performed on game day. You got a teammate you want to shout out?
There's plenty of teammates to shout out. And that's one thing that I try to do is one thing that makes a great leader is they have to be very visual. They have to see the one. They have to see behind the scenes, not just the team, but the guy who's putting in the day's work and maybe not getting the recognition. Man, I'd love to shout out Sione Fotu.
Yes.
He stepped up and took on a big role, with Karene still trying to just rehab and get back into where he feels comfortable. Rene's doing a lot better and he's taking steps forward, and I love that. But obviously we saw him not in that game. Mm-hmm. And that's a key player, that's a leader, that's a captain. But man, Sione he's a hard worker and he stays consistent. That's one thing I love about him is he's very consistent, and he is a vocal guy.
Yes.
He's maybe not as loud as me and June
right.
or as big of a presence, but within that linebacker room, he definitely is still sets a very high tone, a very,
right.
Disciplined tone that I love and value, and having him behind me in that game was huge.
And he talks about the relationships that they have in that room and the ability for each one of those guys to hold the other guy accountable.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a good thing to have in that room, especially right now without Karene being the veteran voice. He's taken on more of that responsibility of being the guy saying, hey, we need to spend time after practice watching film, getting in a little extra work, working a guy in like John O'Hall who's making that transition to linebacker. And I know Sione is kind of taking it upon himself to spend a little bit more time with him as well.
Definitely.
And I think that's great. So Sione definitely worthy of a shout out.
For sure.
And he played well too.
He did
against Utah State.
Yeah. And he's putting his head down and going back to work. I mean, and that's a blessing to be around. It makes me feel like that's what I want to do. I might have had, a lot of stats in the game, but regardless, when I look at a guy like that, when he's consistent, it makes me feel like, man, I can follow that example.
Yeah. Love that, man. All right. Let me get some questions. We'll transition to a little Q&A here. We've got a handful of questions for you.
Sure.
Some will be football focused.
Yeah.
Some will be life focused.
Perfect.
So this will be fun. This will be fun. All right. So, in that same hype video,
there
was a little clip. You talked about Utah State being upstairs and BYU being the basement.
I did say that.
This is our house. Just the question is just basically what's the idea, Keanu? That one from Patton. Shout out to Patton for that question.
That's funny. I had a feeling that was going to be asked, I must say. And I can't take full credit for that, idea because it came from Peppa, who's not a vocal,
Oh, wow.
Who's not as vocal.
Yeah.
But we took the joke and kept running with it. So I got to give it to him. I can't say that was my idea. But
Peppa came up with that idea. That's incredible.
That's the man, dude. He's a comedian. It's just the facts. That's all I'm gonna leave it at. That's the facts.
Oh, yeah.
We handled business at Utah State. We have other games that are coming up, regardless of if they're in state or not. This week we have Oklahoma State. That's where our focus is.
Love it.
That's what
we'll talk a little bit more about Oklahoma State, obviously. This one more of a general question from 7 Utes.
Okay.
If football was out of the equation, what would you be doing?
It's a good question. I would probably. I think I'd be still continuing to pursue a degree somewhere. Probably in sports psychology. Even if football wasn't a part of it, I think sports psychology has such, to do with the mind that I love. Psychology in general is that's my degree that I'm pursuing currently to receive. And so I love the aspect of the mind, regardless of if you're in sports or if you're in a business or if you're in, artwork, whatever it is. I love the pursuit of furthering your mental intellect to improve however you do whatever it is that you choose to do. Because the mental game is what changes performance. It's less of, if we're talking about an artwork or a runner, it's less of your technique because you can develop that. But once you develop that, there's not new levels that you can take it to.
Yeah.
But can I develop my mind to connect, to be integrated with my technique? That then when I go forward, everything just
next level stuff, man.
Everything can be magnified,
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, love that.
Yeah.
Are you pursuing that? Is that your degree?
That is my degree.
Oh, man. You are owning it, bro.
I'm trying.
That is incredible.
I love the mind. I love it.
Oh, man. All right. Next question. I don't know if we should follow up after that. That was great. All right. Next question. Aaron Green, what was going through your head on the botch snap that Bryson barely got a hold of before you smashed him, tackled him, sacked him? It didn't count as a sack.
Well, for now, they had it submitted to, we got to count that. That's a sack.
Come on.
Let's not. Utah State's trying to cheat me, man. Come on now. Don't be salty because we won. It's okay.
I mean, you had to get another one later in the game just to get one.
Had to.
But come on now.
Give
him 2.
That's what I'm saying. So what went through my mind was
in that moment when there's a botch snap, right? And you're seeing it, and the offensive line isn't aware of what's like what goes through your head in those sort of moments.
Well, if you watch that play closely, we had stemmed to the left, and so we were in a river. We switched to our left side, and I saw the guard, and it's a feel thing. When you study enough film, you can kind of feel it. And I saw him. I just felt him leaning, and I was like, oh, this guy's leaving. He's not coming to hit me. He's leaving. So I dropped my foot to get a better get off. And so as soon as I dropped my foot, the ball snapped, and I just immediately was able to get a faster get off because I had changed my stance. And as soon as I saw Bryson jumping up for that ball, it was, once you come down, I'm going to eat.
Oh, baby.
It was, this is the worst play for you to fumble the ball because your guard isn't touching me, and I knew I was going to get off fast.
Oh, man. That's incredible stuff. Just the know to see a cue like that and make the adjustment in your head and to be right. Like you were right. And I think that speaks to a number of things. Obviously your athleticism, your preparation, and just your understanding. Your mind. It was mind again.
The mental intellect, man. Trying to develop it.
Love it. All right. Next question. This one from Nader 4193. What run schemes are some of the hardest to defend as a defensive tackle?
Some of the hardest to defend. I don't know. I think it depends because run schemes can be changed throughout the team you're playing.
Sure.
It's very different. Someone could run in a away zone with the guard blocking back on you and then, the tackle climbing to the linebacker. Recently, and what I'm seeing with a lot of teams is they're very true double teams in today's time. They really, if they can get the D tackles off the ball, it's not so much of a worry about the linebackers anymore. It's let's control the front. And so what I'd say is the hardest is those double teams are difficult, man, especially when I'm engaged with the guy in front of me. And then I have someone coming from the side to come and T-bone me. And I have to try and keep my balance while still maintaining pressure on someone who's already 300 pounds in front of me while getting T-boned by another 300 pounds. I mean, it's extremely difficult to fight double teams. There's technique for it, but sometimes you're just unprepared for it. So double teams is what I would have to say.
Double teams.
Or triple teams.
Triple teams, too.
You'll
probably see a couple of those after how you've started this season.
Yeah. Give it a week or so. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Last one, I think. Let me see here. What would you say is your spirit animal?
Spirit animal, man. That's a great question. Probably, man, I gotta go with the lion. It's the king of the jungle.
King of the jungle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And can I give some reasoning as to why?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The lion is not the biggest in the jungle. It's not the fastest and it's not the smartest in the jungle. But what makes it the lion, the king of the jungle, is its mindset and its attitude of how it carries itself. And I think that's what I try to personify. Is I'm not the biggest, right? We can tell, we got Peppa and June, they're bigger than me. Yeah. I'm not the fastest. We got our DNs, and then we also have guys within the D tackle room that are still getting limited reps, but they're faster than me. I wouldn't say I'm the smartest, but I try, maybe, I try to be. But man, I think I just try to personify the aspect of my mental game is such a key. I try to imagine myself as climbing that mountain consistently, never reaching the peak and always climbing. And that's what a lion does. It's never satisfied. It loves the hunt. I love the hunt.
Love that. All right. Let's transition. So obviously Oklahoma State this weekend, big test, number 12 versus number 14, top 15 matchup. It's going to be a big game, nationally televised game. Obviously, we all know you guys prepare the same. Every game is important.
Right.
That's been a message that's been shared with the media pretty consistently this week is every game is important. And so far through 3 games, like you guys have made that clear, every game is important.
Yeah.
But when looking at this matchup, what are some keys to the game for you and just in general?
They're a great run team. And so a key to the game is if we can take away run and limit it in offense to not favoring run and having to kind of do more pass, well, that's a key that we're going to go after. Mm-hmm. They're a great run team. We have to give respect where respect is due, and I'm going to respect their run game. But I'm also going to pride myself on our defensive's ability to stop the run.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we are. That's what I think we've always been, is we pride ourselves on limiting teams to their ability to run the ball.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a great matchup, two teams that pride themselves on running and preventing the run. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's going to be huge, a great offense versus a great defense. Another key to the game is just physicality, the same as we've consistently had and what our focus is every week.
Yeah.
But if we can control the line of scrimmage, we can control, the game.
Yeah.
That's always the mindset.
Yeah.
It starts up front. It's critical to have good backers and good people in the backfield, DBs, safeties. But if you can control the line of scrimmage, you can't play football without a line of scrimmage,
Right.
Or if one's dominated, then
tough.
Yeah. So that's my keys to the game, and probably not just because I play that position on the line of scrimmage, but because that's how the game is ran. If you can win the line of scrimmage, no team's gonna want to pass if they can run for days.
Right. Especially with a running back like Ollie Gordon.
Yeah.
They're obviously gonna want to get him going.
Yeah.
So that leads to a follow-up question. So after last week, Rashul Faison,
Mm-hmm.
a tremendous back in his own right.
He's good.
Ran for over 100 yards. What did you guys learn from that game that you can now carry into this week in your preparation for a running back like Ollie Gordon?
Great technique. Great technique solves problems.
Yeah.
You if you have a problem on the defense, look at your technique, reevaluate. Okay, maybe we're not tackling low enough. Maybe we're not taking out the motor. Maybe we can do better at gang tackling and suffocating the spaces of the field that are open to a running back like that.
Yeah.
How can we limit his options and opportunities to take certain, parts of the field? And so I think it just goes back to great technique. And once we reevaluate that, as we have, we're done with the game. It's over with last Saturday. We're on to this game. And so let's get our technique as best as we can for this game.
Yeah, love that. All right. Well, dude, let's put a bow on this one.
Yeah.
And let's do so with your motivational message of the week.
Yeah. Man, so me and Steve, obviously we talked about this and within our
because I'm gonna be listening to this later on when I'm on the treadmill. I'm gonna need something good here.
I would listen to. Yeah, it's a good point. I got to make it good. No pressure, but
no pressure. No pressure.
Man, for the people out there listening, I think what I want to share that I've shared with Steve prior to hopping on the mic is a lot of people say it's about the journey, and a lot of people say that it's about the destination. What I'm learning currently in life that I think is critical for people to understand is it's actually about who you become in the process of the journey before you get to the destination. It's not about neither. It's not about the journey and it's not about the destination. It's about who can I become? Who am I developing into within this journey? Because that's what will continue to help you when you find the next destination.
Yeah.
When you're on the next journey, when you're on the next trail and you're battling, that journey was great, but that's not going to help me now. Well, that destination felt good, but that's not going to help me on this new journey. What is going to create a consistency in your life to go from destination to destination until that day that the Lord calls you back? What's going to bless you is who you become. And so regardless of the trail and the path you're on, focus on what am I developing today to become the individual I want to become? And that will carry you, step by step, day by day into who you want to be.
Whew, man. I'm going to be on the treadmill, and I'm going to be focusing on my form. I'm going to be getting my elbows up.
Yeah.
I'm going to be getting them, my ankles, my knees high.
Yes, sir.
I'm still going to be walking at a brisk 2.5 pace.
Right.
But I'm going to be walking with tremendous form.
I love it.
Because I'm focused on who I'm becoming in that moment.
Exactly. And to add on to that, just the last thing is, you're developing your form, but you're also approving yourself. If you're telling yourself, I want to do this today. Don't set yourself up for failure by saying, I want to do this and don't do it. Show up for yourself.
Feeling attacked right now. I gotta get to the gym now.
Be there for yourself, man. Go do it. Go be great, blockheads. Me and Steve gonna fight to be great, man. Go be great today.
Blockheads. Oh man.
Yes.
I love it, dude. Well, hey man, you played great last week.
Sir.
Continue to prepare as best as you can and as you tend to. And have a great weekend this week.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
For myself, for Keanu, this is the Utah Blockcast signing off.